think that he's good for you.
How do you know what's good for me?
That's my opinion!
Don't you get it? Why can't anybody have an opinion but you?
That I don't think that he's good.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining Sandra P's Gen Extra for the live Next Gen NYC review. I actually put a slight recap, mainly opinion, I'm thinking, because episode 3 wasn't really enough for me to get into. Brooks bored me to tears because they were fixated and focused on Brooks. Let's see. Yeah, Brooks. I don't know what they're trying to do as far as making Brooks happen, but it was boring. So episode 3, I'll just refer to it slightly. And then this, of course, is labeled as episode 3 and 4. This is Riley's episode. Riley. And it wasn't a great episode for her, but you know, we'll all keep in mind that they're in their 20s, except for Charlie, who's over 30. Amira's knocking on 30's door pretty quickly. And they are relatively young compared to all of the rest of the shows on Bravo. So episode 3 was the man in the LED mask. That was a Brooks-centered episode where they're trying to make him happen. He's just drifting around his apartment, making sourdough bread and taking care of his skin and being behind on this fashion line that he has. Now, Ava wanted to know last season when she thought of Ariana, she didn't think of fashion. What does she think of when she hears that Brooks have a fashion line? So I don't know why Brooks is getting this huge pass that nobody else seems to get. Because honestly, I don't dislike Brooks, but it's kind of like watching paint dry. I don't know what else Brooks is going to give us other than this delayed fashion line, this so-called feud with Charlie, that he doesn't have enough guts to go into Charlie's face and say, I'm upset. This is why. Because there's a number of things that he could rightfully be upset with Charlie about from last season, but he's not willing to man, face-to-face, talk to him about it. And they are peers. So this poor little baby Brooks thing, that's kind of getting on my nerves. But that was just kind of a long rant at the very beginning. So excuse me for that. Thank you so much for joining Sandra P's Gen Extra. If you are already a loyal subscriber, I appreciate you so much. If you're not, I still appreciate you. But I would also like it if you would go ahead and click the like button and then subscribe. Make sure your notifications bell are set to all so that you don't miss any of the content. Thank you so much. My friend American Born is in here. And there is a theme song for American Born. Only 2 people have been granted one. And hers is a Lenny Kravitz remake. American Born, don't stay away from me. American Born, come in and take your seat. Thank you so much for joining me in the live. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And Brooks is on my nerves as well. Yeah, American Born. This cast, this is their 2nd season. So they no longer have Sandra P's cloak of immunity, but I've reserved the right to put it on those that need it. Riley had a terrible episode, so she does need it. But Riley, girl, you brought this on yourself. You brought a lot of this on yourself. And I'm seeing a lot of chatter and different talk online about Riley and her attitude and her drinking and all this kind of stuff. But I'm going to give Riley a lot of grace because she's 23 years old. So when she started this show, she was 22. She's 23 years old. She's really young. And let me see, I saved some stuff because it was a whole conversation going on Threads. And then Riley had put something on Threads as well. If I could find that quickly, I'll share that and then start the review. If not, I'll go ahead and start the review and then we can catch up with that later, like a couple of extras. Okay, so let me show you this is Bravo Talk Too Much. I just want to show first what we're talking about, what people mean when they say Riley was on one and doing a little too much this episode. And I'm one of the people that was saying that. And I can't share everything, but I will share this just so we get an idea. They're still at their girls' night out, boys' night out, which is joint now.
You're crazy.
Give me a hug. You good? Don't give it attention.
How about that? Shut the hell up.
Why is ketamine coming up? I'm actually just curious.
Just shut up. Just shut up.
I'm just curious why ketamine is coming
Just
up.
shut up. Just shut up. Just shut up.
Mom's got everybody. Make sure you guys drink water.
Just be quiet. Shut.
Yeah, continually telling her to just shut up, just shut up, just shut up. Riley was going crazy, and I don't know what her problem was other than the drinking. I detected something else that really bothers me. Riley, I think you think you're better than Georgia. I got on old poor Charlie last season for looking down on Georgia. And I think that Riley has a touch of, what is Georgia doing here? She's not a housewife's child. She's not rich that I know of. And Riley thinks she's better than Georgia. And so that's going to come up again. Georgia triggers Riley. American Born, that is so correct. She kept saying that. And I'm not going to take that as an excuse for her to threaten violence against the girl. Yes, slapping somebody with a pizza is funny and it's silly and it's probably not true, but it is still violent. So Riley, no, we wouldn't want anybody to touch you. Welcome in, dear Yvette. Great to see you during the Next Gen NYC Live. We have just started. American Born is here, and we are talking about my girl Riley. Riley had a pretty tough episode between the drinking, being triggered by Georgia, and I just don't like the way Riley came across. It allowed Ava, of all people, to shine. So I won't take anything away from Ava. When she's right, she's right. Ava noticed that Riley was kind of on one and acting a little bit different. She wasn't really being herself. So let me see what else we have from there before I start the review. Riley started out with the threads. So I'll give her the first word and the last word. I'm going to go in here and show this. And she's Riley Barris on Threads, if you don't already follow her.
I made 2 rights and 1 left, and somehow this is not my therapist's office. I don't know what the heck I did wrong. I did exactly as the direction said. I made 2 rights and 1 left, and somehow this is not my therapist's office.
So she got a cute little funny threads, and let me show you some of the comments, and then I'll tell you what she says. Riley Barris, I obviously know what I did wrong, but hey, nieces mess up too. Gibraltar baddie. So I don't know. And we get to see her send Georgia an apology text. I would have liked her to invite Georgia out to lunch and just pay for it and have them sit down and talk. I think the text was an easy way out, but Georgia forgave her. So you're going to see some of these comments. People are not seeing it for Riley. But in fairness, I think a lot of people don't see it for Riley anyway. I remember Riley getting a lot of mean comments when she was a child, and I'm not down for that with Riley. She was only 6 years old, and Gia was very young. Gia used to get dragged online, and also, Ariana didn't really, but the mom, Kim, did. So the first comment is, this girl's behavior is off. Something's not right with her, snapping at others for no reason. It's just embarrassing to watch. I feel as though this isn't the right place for her to be at this particular time in her life. She seems to me need some mental health help. I think she meant she seems to need some mental health help. Somebody said, stop watching, problem solved. I hate those kind of comments, but I think the suggestion of mental health, anybody can use mental health help. And then even in the threads, she has a person with the voiceover joking, oh, I made 2 rights and I didn't end up at my therapist. So anybody can use help. Someone else says disappointed attitude, no accountability. And someone said, seems like SBD has a lot of trauma she needs to work through. She has a lot of anger and resentment, and therapy is the exact spot she needs to be to grow and learn. I would lay off the booze until she works through those issues. Oh, it seems like somebody. Okay, I get it. Some of these abbreviations are unnecessary and they confuse things. And I'll read one more. Disgusting behavior, and even worse, once sober, blamed everyone for her behavior. She was cruel and entitled, and anyone saying this is okay is gross. I'll read one more. That's kind of tough, Riley. Somebody says that is what growing in your 20s is. Don't let bored adults try to tell you who you are. We learn and we grow. Or as Ashley Bobblehead would say, healing and a thriving now. So Riley's going through a tough growth spurt in her 20s, as most of us did and do, and even on up into our 50s, okay? But she's doing it in front of the world, and that's really hard. So I can have compassion with Riley on that and then still want to see her be held accountable. So let me go ahead and take that down, and then we'll go ahead and start this review. Welcome in, CC. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate it. This is the live review. I did not get to episode 3, which was kind of boring. It was Brooks' focus, the man in the LED mask, him being late on that fashion line and taking care of his skin and baking bread. Brooks, you're going to have to bring more. But this episode was very Riley centered. So I wanted to start with the word from Riley because Cece, she had a tough episode. Welcome in. Thank you so much. Everyone in is speaking to each other. American says Ariana could have done more at Dear Yvette. Oh, let me see. Dear Yvette, my girl Ava was more friend to Riley than Adriana. Yeah, I think so. And Riley will talk about that dynamic. Dear Yvette says, I think Georgia says lots of things behind the scenes. I think so too, dear Yvette. And Georgia, I think Georgia is smarter than a lot of them. Street smarter. We've learned about her life. Street smarter and probably just intelligent. And she might be, even though the same age, kind of a little ahead of them. And she's one of those shade throwers. It may take a minute to catch up. And somebody like Riley is holding it in and getting upset. I don't want to make excuses for her. She had no right to physically threaten Georgia. And she did. That pump fake, I didn't like that at all. With the glass, no. No, ma'am. No, Miss Riley. You're going to get Candy Bird sued. Cece came in and said, good afternoon. That's Sandra Peach, Gen Extra, American born, dear Yvette and chat. Good afternoon to you too, Cece. Thank you so much for joining us during the live. Dear Yvette said she had a shirt that said something about mental health. Oh, okay. Let me take another look at that. 5 likes and 3 in the live. Thank you so much, Cece. I appreciate that. Thank you. So as you come in, use the like as the doorbell, and I would appreciate that. If you want to wait until the end, I appreciate that as well. But just make sure you like the video. That helps keep my channel in the algorithm and brings more attention to my channel when it is live. Thank you. Cece says Riley went from letting the young'uns punk her last year to an overcorrection and overreaction this year. Cece, I think a lot of the chatter got in her head, and then production doesn't help. They put a lot of the chatter on the show. There were a few creators on there that I recognize because I have watched from time to time, giving their opinion on Riley, which we're here to do. We're going to do it. But Riley, you just have to live your life. We give plenty of grace for somebody in their 20s, but I think Riley is being judged harshly just because of who she is. But Riley, they couldn't put that out there if you didn't give it to him to work with. David says, I think it has a lot to do with her dad. Mama Joyce had a lot to do with it. Yeah, Riley's going through some things online in front of all of us. Welcome in, Soul Sister. Hey, sister, Soul Sister. Come and get your dose. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to you, Soul Sister. Thank you so much. Dear Yvette says, yes, says Sandra, that was hard to watch. Yeah, it was. And you know, I think Georgia going to coast on this forever. Even though she accepted the apology, that was big of her. This is going to bite Riley. I watched the after show. She's already embarrassed about it and not wanting to talk about it. But Riley, you're going to have to keep talking about it. American Born says, way too harsh in my opinion. Yeah, we got to think about the people that are reviewing this. I'm much older than Riley. Riley could be a great niece to me, you know, or grandniece, whichever you want to call it. But in all of them, you know, I joke with them, tough on them sometimes just to hold them accountable. But some of the stuff being said about Riley was said last year. She don't belong there. Get her off the show. For what? She has every right to be there and to make a mistake just like anybody else on TV. So as I said, episode 3, I didn't do a separate review, so I'll put 3 and 4 in here together. But we do know Gia and Christian were doing their girls' night out, boys' night out, respectively. Christian is Gia's boyfriend. Charlie sent a text talking about tell Brooks to keep my name out his mouth. This scares Brooks. Brooks said, oh, Lord. Gia told him that Charlie said that, and now Brooks doesn't want to be around him. But he's already mad about him, and he has been telling everybody but Charlie that he is mad about him. So we all get to the 2 separate clubs where part 4 enters is they're at 6-3. The girls started there for their girls' night out. They've been drinking all night. They've been having dance breaks. The boys are not having a good time because they're supposed to be playing pool, but Brooks is avoiding Charlie like the plague, and he's texting Gia that he's upset and he wants to come over. He doesn't like boys' night out. He wants to be with girls' night out. Brooks, this was very annoying because had you said that in advance, they could have just had one place where they were. Christian, I actually like. We saw in the last episode, Christian is not moving out of his home. I don't blame you, Christian. There's nothing wrong with that. He's in his early 20s as well. Gia moved out because she heard the chatter about the show. And then, of course, what Teresa has going on over there with old Louie. He even got Melania hemmed up. So Gia's moved out. She wants Christian to move in with her. He has not. And Christian, I don't blame you. I'll read a few more comments and we'll go back to the joint now, girls, boys night out. Dear Yvette says, Georgia is very TV smart. She getting them all to turn on everyone. She doesn't like Amira and is now mad at Charlie. Yes, Georgia, she's strong enough, I think, to stand alone, even though she tugged my heartstrings a little bit when she said, well, the group's kind of Riley-centered. I'd like somebody to defend me sometime and say, are you okay? Because it's true. Charlie, actually, this little pump fake Riley did, and I'll slap you with a piece of pizza. That was nowhere near what Charlie aggressively did to Georgia last season. And it just, grand opening, grand closing. We're not talking about that anymore. Now we're talking about Riley. Of course, that was last season. But still, Kiwan JTV, welcome in. Hey, y'all. Thank you so much for joining me for this live review of episode 3 and 4. And 3 is kind of like by the wayside because that was Brooks, the man in the LED mask. Brooks gotten on my nerves. I think he's lazy. I think he's coasting. And that's why that fashion line was delayed. And he's sitting up baking bread and wearing these prison clothes instead of working on his own line. But thankfully, we only get to hear Meredith and Seth. We don't have to see them in New York yet. AB speaking to Kiwan JTV. So this is my fellow content creator, everyone. If you're not already over there, please go to enjoy a lot of her great content. Reality shows, now scripted TV. She even brought back soul food. So it is worth it, y'all. I wasn't into the water cooler conversation surrounding the series Soul Food. So it's kind of fun to catch up. So thank you for joining me during the live Kiwan JTV. It is great to see you in my chat. Thank you. American Born says, Charlie works my last nerve. American Born, you tried to dismiss him last season. He works my nerves too. I don't particularly like him, but he is a pretty good villain. And they keep talking about that, especially Amira. And then Ava, I don't know if Charlie is brand friendly enough, but we'll get to the bottom of why Brooks doesn't like him. Ava is a pretty good protagonist too. Ava comes out with no stink on her. And Ava, you threw a couple of stink bombs. I'm looking at you, Ava. I see you, girl. I think Damon or somebody's coaching her. So they joined this girls, boys night out. Amira and Georgia is talking. Georgia's doing that. Georgia kills me talking with her hands when we know she don't really wash. So what I'm trying to explain to everybody, I had the idea of Club Club. Production shows us her telling Omar about, you like the name Club Club, and him investing in this sort of thing. Now they're trying to take her idea. And Amira has the bright idea. I think you should work with them and help retain your idea. And Georgia's like, I don't think that I have been telling everybody how traumatic it was for them to steal my idea. Why would I want to work with them? And she's F Charlie, all this kind of stuff. I agree with what Georgia was saying. Riley and Ava came over and it looked like Georgia was up in arms, mainly just talking with her hands. And then Ava wants to know, well, are you guys okay? So Ava knows how to do that. If something looks like it's not going to jump off, Miss Ava wants to get in there and light a match so that it does jump off. And that ends up happening. I love your chat. I know I have to watch this week's episode. Yes, it is very good. Thank you so much, Kiwan J. The chat, I love the chat. The chat is very live. They keep me on my toes. And if I'm off topic, they'll bring me back. But I do love the live reviews because of that. And American Born says, I'm sorry, but Club Club is the dumbest name. It is American Born. And the only one to tell her that last year was Riley. But now we got Charlie and Omar trying to take the idea. The only thing they didn't do was the bowling part of it. Remember, Georgia had a big bowling focused club thing. So no cloak of immunity for Charlie. Lord, no, CC. Not at all. Charlie's a character. I think he can take care of himself. So I still drape it over Riley on occasion, but that doesn't mean that Riley can't be held accountable. I'm a little disappointed in where she allowed this to go. So she's already drunk. So is everybody else. And what I notice is when Ava and Riley first get there, Riley's just smiling and she keeps putting her Mama Joyce wig on Ava. And Ava has a confessional where she says, Riley's a little out of character. So Ava was the first one to float that criticism of Riley. Riley's not really herself. She's doing a little bit of drinking and she's a little out of character. So Ava, we see you. I don't know if Ava's crazy about the support and attention that Riley gets. Maybe she feels like it's undeserved. But Ava, I'll protect you too when you need it. I mean, there were things she did that night that I appreciate her doing, but I'm still disappointed that Riley let it get to that among a group of people that she doesn't really feel like she can trust yet. And some people feel like Ariana didn't do enough, but other than offering water repeatedly, pizza repeatedly, I don't know what else Ariana could have done. I really don't. So we are laughing over Charlie not getting the cloak of immunity. Maybe a tampon jacket like Shai. That's a crazy scene later. Shai, I like Shai because he doesn't mind being corny and crazy and just an oddball. The other week we saw him in a cow costume. Now he shows up in a fireman's jacket that he was sharing with a girl and doesn't know who put the tampon in the pocket. So Rowan is kind of cracking up. Rowan's got her own boyfriend though. So Shai, I don't think you're going to entice this girl with this tampon jacket. So in this club, Ava is bringing up the fact that Riley was drinking. Riley's out of character. We have a scene where Ava and Riley, they were kind of talking, catching up, and Ava gets in a confessional and say, this is the first time that Riley has hung out with the group in a while. Now, Ava, you know that Riley was on her Riley World tour. So those of you that stayed in New York or you were between the Hamptons and the city, Riley was not there to do that. But I don't know who this message is for that Ava's trying to get out there about Riley. But I'm watching you, Ava. I'm watching you because Ava's sneaky. So Riley is still drinking. Everybody's drinking, no, but Riley, you know how they started first season. If somebody drank 2 drinks, we'd see Miss Riley drink at least 4 or 5. And she's slurring. She's getting a little bit sloppy. And when Brooks came in, Brooks was so bothered by Charlie. He literally could not look at Charlie. And he's telling him, Charlie told me he texted, keep my name out his mouth. I don't see anything wrong with what Charlie said. And I don't like Brooke not being able to stand up for himself. If you want to stand up for your mom or for your sister Chloe, then do that. He's just scary. He's like a lightweight and I don't understand it. Liam is there. Liam is excited because he gets to see his girl Ariana and he's becoming more and more attracted to her. He and his little friend circle, and I like the friend circle, Jackson, and then there's a young lady, I can't remember her name. We had an episode, I didn't review it, but they went out and they bowled. Ariana showed up dressed like Morticia. She had a long, straight black dress on and chunky heel shoes. She said, I thought we were going to a club. It's the middle of the day, Ariana. You're not going to a club. But they've become close. During this conversation, Shai was also there. Liam has offered to help her. She said she ordered this huge closet from IKEA. Liam's offered to help her build it. So then we get a confessional and Liam's like, I'm an actor. I guess I can act like a handyman. What's the guy's name? Well, they won't know who he is. Tim Allen. Y'all, I found that hilarious that the huge show in the 90s or 2000s, Home Improvement, this group, this age group, some of them might not know Tim Allen. But then again, they don't even know Rocky Horror Picture Show, and that's iconic. I've never watched it all the way through. I just know Susan Sarandon and then the different dances that they do and that sort of thing. So we get, they are all talking. There's a lot of crosstalk going on. And Georgia says, well, Riley and I have been kind of getting along. I noticed that when Riley is drinking, Riley's kind of fun and I can get along with it. Riley said, well, give me a drink then. And Georgia acts like she's going to hand Riley her drink. And Riley's like, I'm not going to drink after you because you might have ketamine in it. And it was like a record scratch, like you're in a New York club. And that is a part of club culture for some people. This was wrong road, Riley. We saw Georgia so drunk, and poor Charlie brought it up last year. He's like, Georgia got so drunk, her friends left her, and she's on my couch, and then she's been there. He acted like she was there for weeks. He had her speaker, the whole thing. But for Riley to bring up something like Special K, and they were just doing a little bit of joke, and I think Riley immediately got embarrassed, but she doubled down. And so Georgia says, I want to understand, why would you bring up ketamine? Now, Georgia, I noticed the way you phrased this. You said, I've never used any type of drug around you. I've never been under the influence of any type of drug around you. So, Georgia, you didn't flat out deny. Who's talking about Georgia to you, Riley, and why are you believing it? Because people could actually talk about you. We know that Candy Burris, Riley's mother, doesn't drink at all. And now Riley is out here. Every time we see her, they're out, but we still see her with a drink in hand. she's accused Georgia of something that we don't have any knowledge of. So I didn't like that at all. The table is trying to get Riley to say something. Ariana's like, I want everybody to take a shot of water. She's offering Riley the sparkling water. Heck no, Riley don't want no sparkling water. She tells Ava, well, just go to the bathroom with me. Ava goes to the bathroom with her. She got the boyfriend on the phone, y'all. He was on that phone like black. And they were like, I don't think he's on the phone. Ava said, he's here. I think he can hear me. This is Ava, Riley's friend. Riley's in the toilet. So they're having a lot of conversation. They go back to the table. Georgia is still talking about what Riley has said. And I don't blame Georgia. Georgia had every right to clear her name. Riley at this point is telling her, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. We get a confessional from Georgia saying, I bother Riley and I don't know why. Now, I don't think it's about the unwashed hands. I think it is a lot of slick stuff that Georgia says, but I think Riley feels like she is above Georgia, and it annoys Riley that Georgia would even be talking to her. I don't know. I don't like that. And then that crazy comment about the ketamine. And Georgia just said, I've never done drugs in front of you. That was an interesting way to put it. In the confessionals, Georgia was making a lot of sense. And then when it came back to the table, Riley didn't want to keep talking about it. Georgia did, and I didn't blame her. And then even Gia said, she said, Georgia, I think that Riley kind of wants to walk this back. I didn't hear Riley walk it back. They were going to toast each other. And then Riley says, well, you're not in on this toast because you can't even afford a Birkin. Ariana said, now I can't afford a Birkin. I think Rowan and somebody else said, well, I can't afford a Birkin. Georgia said, well, that's kind of rude. I thought Riley was being extremely rude. Ava was sitting there smirking. You could tell that Riley was drunk. She was slurring. And then Georgia says, well, Riley's drunk. I'm okay with that. So they all decide they're going to do a shot of water. Amira is upset now because her and Ariana are talking about this rumor, because Georgia was clearing everything up. She says, and now there's the rumor about Kevin that went through the gay grapevine. Amira said, it turns out it's my assistant and Georgia's friend Cooper that were talking about the fact that Georgia had her grubby hands on her boyfriend Kevin. Georgia doesn't really care about that. And she said, well, who said it? Was it the gay grapevine? She says, no, it was Charlie. And Ariana's like, oh, we should have known. He's one of the biggest, she called him a diva or something, big mouth. And then Georgia is still complaining about he tried to steal my idea. So all this stuff is going on. Riley acts like, well, Georgia, shut up, shut up, shut up. And then she took the glass and she said, and they were like, no, 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 no. They kind of had to stop her. So Riley, I don't know what you thought you were going to do. And then when they were offering her pizza, she said, I will take this slice of pizza and slap you across the face. Now, I wouldn't take that seriously, but it is kind of a threat. And then she's doing all of that. Shut it, shut it, shut it, shut it. So I'm going to go through and read some comments. I have to cut the camera off for 1 minute and turn the ear on. Let me read these comments. But this club scene, yeah, I felt a little bit sorry for Riley in the way that it turned out. Georgia, I was proud of Georgia defending herself. Let's see. Dear Yvette says, Ava likes Riley, but she will always be honest. That's the Sagittarius in her, in us. Yeah, they seem to be able to have more of a free conversation than they do with the other girls. Now, dear Yvette, I feel like the other girls feel like, for some reason, Riley's supposed to be this big, black, scary girl. That girl doesn't even present that way. And I don't like how they came out first season trying to do that. And I think they're kind of, she can't speak freely with them. And her and Ava even had that conversation. Ava's in a confessional and she said, she made the point, why can I can talk to Riley just straight out, and Riley's not able to do that with the others. And I think I know why. It's because Riley has been painted as this big, scary black girl. When really she's just direct. American Born says, Liam was never going to build the whole closet system. I saw it after it was done. It was crazy. Yeah, Ariana said that she ordered a TaskRabbit, and I feel like she should have let them put it up. Because when he came over there and he started throwing away directions and it's like, well, it says posted, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that. I'd have been like, no, you're not wasting my money. David said, I believe Georgia was on the K. That is a part of club scene, and there's something going on with her. I'm not sure what. That's Joyce's granddaughter, Kiwan JTV, all day. She was a little 6-year-old Mama Joyce. She used to be so judgmental of Candy. And that's when people used to give Riley a tough time, and she was just a child on that show. AB says they don't want Mama Joyce to come to New York and get those kids right. They sure don't. David says, AB, right? No, they sure don't. They don't want none of Mama Joyce, not at all. I find it interesting that we haven't seen her at all. And then we do get a Candy Burris sighting. That's coming up. So Riley got really aggravated by Georgia. Gia tried to clear it up a little bit. Riley wants to walk this back. And then Georgia says, I don't even know why you would say that about Academy. And Georgia says, you said it. Ava said, you said it, babe. So David, there's a Sagittarius. You said it, babe. You said it, babe. Gia said, I just want to have a picnic under the bridge, skip through the flowers, chill, and not have all this stuff going on. She said, I know my family fights. Production showed the flashback of Teresa shaking the table and all the stuff she would get into. So Georgia and Riley had everybody shook. Brooks, I thought, was going to get up and run away from there. So now we get Riley trying to walk her back a little bit. Georgia said, that's okay. We've all been there. And she felt like that was big of her. But I thought that, Riley, that was a little bit cruel. You didn't look good. And then Riley, I mean, your whole backdrop of accusing somebody of possibly being on something or spiking a drink or wanting to spike a drink, that wasn't good with Candy's background. That wasn't good. So the next day, we get a Candy Burris sighting by FaceTime. And Riley's in a coffee shop or something. And she said, Riley Burris, Candy Burris. Riley, tell me what's going on. She said, well, Georgia triggered me. She said, what's this about you throwing a glass? Well, I don't get to live life and learn and grow because everybody's watching. Candy's saying, listen, is this supposed to be the political correct answer? Well, no, I'm telling you what happened. Candy is telling her, listen, you know what it is. I don't want to hear from somebody else about my child and them sending me articles. And Riley said, well, I don't like to hear that either. So I don't know. I think Candy let Riley off the hook easy, I think, but she's got to support her daughter on TV. So I don't blame her for that. Let me go back through and see if I'm missing any comments or not feeling Gia. Dear Yvette, she gets a lot of static too on social media, but I don't have a problem with Gia. I always go back to what her upbringing is. Teresa and Juicy Joe in jail, one after the other, and her raising those kids. But somebody, was it you, AB, CC? One of you mentioned they could bring Melania on. Now, Melania, if they want to name an episode Tick Tick Boom, Tick Tock Boom, that's Melania. She's over there dealing with Louie. Keywan J says, y'all know what Joyce gonna tell those kids? Ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley, no, that'll keep me off your A. She sure enough will. She doesn't play. If she doesn't play about Candy, we know she don't play about Riley. I thought Melissa's daughter was coming on the show. I know her dad, Joe Gorga, says she's too sweet for the show. But I think that she would fit in. I would love it. Her and Antonia and Gia, I hate the time they missed because their moms were kind of feuding, mainly Teresa. But the way Melissa came on, I think that always left a bad taste in Melissa's mouth. But I blame Andy Cohen and Bravo for the way they did that. David is laughing at Keywan J giving us a key memory unlocked of Mama Joyce through a shoe, a chunky heel shoe at Carmel. Luckily, her aim was off. Yes, Melania is like my youngest niece. Yes, AB, we love those ones that'll get it started. Had her in court over Louie. And look, I think they said the younger sister called, Gabriella. Because I thought, if you called on this girl, I think they said she threw something at her and she might have put a hand and a foot on him too. But I don't like Louie, so I don't know what he was over there doing or saying to her mom, Teresa. Teresa needs to leave him, but he won't. So Candy and Riley, they check in with each other. They let us see. Next, we get a scene with Brooks. He can barely open his mouth, but he's on the phone with his mom, Meredith. Meredith is on the way somewhere. He's like, oh, did you do your San Diego gig? Brooks wants to latch himself to Meredith. That's the only reason why he's on this show. He is her son, but he's like, should I have a DJ booth at my launch and have you there? Brooks, the reason his line is named Brooks Marks, he's always trying to harken back to the Marks, Meredith Marks, Brooks Marks. Because honestly, I haven't seen any fashion from him either. He's always dressed like he's in a gay prison scene or something. What is that? Is that part of his line? I don't get it. I'm not impressed with Brooks. He seems like a sweet young man, but I'm not impressed with him. He's not showing anything. He has a boyfriend. Where's the boyfriend, Brooks? We haven't seen the boyfriend. Everybody is laughing with the Mama Joyce, baby Meredith. Kiwan J, he sure enough is. And then he got the nerve to get coaching from Meredith. The funny thing is, if he's having a problem with Charlie, why don't he speak to Seth about what should I say to this other man? Why is Meredith telling him what to do? But Meredith is saying, well, I want you to tell him that he has disrespected your family. You're going to be in a circle with him because you're working together. You're in a place where you'll cross over mutual friends. Actually, during the call, the fun fact, I got a text from Angie K. So she's letting him know, look, Brooks, this is your job. We've already invested money in this delayed fashion line, and we need you to try to remain at work, even though you don't like Charlie. So Meredith Marks kind of coaches him to let Charlie know he's been disrespectful, but they can still be cordial. And then, I don't know if it was the same scene or not, but they cut back. They show Charlie saying that he would rather cut his own Johnson off than to sit down with Seth. Charlie, I hate to agree with you, but that's the way I feel too. I didn't like it at the time. I felt like Seth was so inappropriate around Charlie, around Charlie's roommate Dylan, and I felt like he had way too many scenes on Next Gen NYC. We don't want to see Salt Lake City and a husband. We wanted to see the kids and meet the kids. So that was Brooks' scene. And I don't know what it is with the sourdough bread. Brooks, you're not going to be able to get into these clothes. American Born says, I hate the way he talks. Oh my God, Brooks, get away from us. I think he thinks it's cool and it's, and he does. He's baby Meredith, as Kiwan J called him. He is. It's just sickening. It's frustrating. Brooks is just like Charlie. Honestly, Kiwan J TV, I know Charlie was trying to date or F Chloe, as he was saying. I think Brooks got a little bit of a crush on him. I don't know. Some of the gay men, sometimes they'll have a little crush on the worst straight man they can find. I think something's going on there, because we kept getting scenes from Charlie saying, I want to talk to Brooks and find out what's going on, but he's acting like a little bee and he won't talk to me. Charlie, Brooks doesn't have to talk to you. I feel like he should, but he doesn't have to. And then he said he's acting like somebody that I lay down with, and then I didn't call him anymore, so now he's mad. So I don't know. I don't know what it is between the two of them. We get a scene with somebody told Hudson it was a music video, because he shows up at the regional airport in a private jet, him and what he calls his business partner. This is a new Hudson. All this jewelry. We know he always liked his jewelry, but he is dressed like a 90s white rapper. The scene was kind of hilarious. This is my business partner, Danny. So he has graduated from the corduroys. Hudson, I hope you don't let Charlie influence you. Charlie calls when they're in the car. You back in New York? Yeah, he's back in New York. So we are seeing a different Hudson. I'm going to beat you at pool tomorrow night. They decide to bet on it, $100. The business partner meets Charlie over the phone. Charlie getting ready to get his feet under the table. Hudson, you better watch out. We get a confessional from Hudson that kind of reminds me of the way Riley is acting. He says, well, people are thinking that Ariana might be moving on. They keep talking about Liam. I'm not threatened by Liam. I don't think anything about Liam. And production was like, you don't worry about them getting a connection. He's like, no, I don't see her going from a guy like me to somebody who rides horses for a living. So Hudson, I thought that was a little elitist. I like Hudson, but I didn't like that, because she did leave you and you still got your family money. Now they may or may not be back together. We don't know, but she didn't have a problem exploring meeting other people. And I do like that about Ariana. So she got that little Kim in her. She does, because Kim Zolciak helped raise her. But Hudson's feeling pretty secure, even though they have broken up. I forgot to mention at the very beginning, we start out with Ariana. And I noticed the way production will always have her narrating or starting out. And I think that bothers Amira. But Ariana, I kind of relate more to her. I do like the way she presents herself, and the fact that she kind of fights against Kim's teachings, because she says, here I am, I'm in New York, I'm trying to get things done for myself, when she had hired the Task Rabbit. And then Liam offered his services. I don't know if he's just trying to get one over on me, or if he's just being a friend and he's helping. So the roommate says, if you don't marry him, I might. Of course, she has a roommate that's, he's putting in little funny stuff. But she says, I'm just young, dumb, and, I can't say what my mom says. Production puts a picture of Kim up. Kim, you nasty thing. You said that to your daughters? Young, dumb, and full of scum. That's what Kim said to her daughters. And Ariana didn't say it. So Ariana, you are being raised right. I think that Ariana, kind of like Gia, she's almost in a mother role to these old trifling women. I just think it's terrible. I'm gonna go through, read the comments, and then we'll go back to this scene. I'm talking from a lazy perspective. Yeah, Meredith Marks doesn't want to do anything Key1 J. The only reason she's DJing is because that's just quick, fast cash money, which she doesn't need, but I think she likes the attention of it too. David says, Huston acting like a rapper. David, it was ridiculous. And he's like, yeah, I'm coming to New York. I got this huge apartment up here, so why wouldn't I be up here? I'm just wasting money. Like, okay, Hudson, you better watch yourself. Hudson and Ariana are back together now, by the way. American Born, I kept hearing that, and I still don't think, I know Georgia was, and Ava too, thinking it might have been a little bit of a stunt to have a storyline, but I don't know. I can see him trying to make some changes in order to get her back. And they love telling people, we've been together 10 years off and on. And if you start when you're 13, I don't know that all that time counts, but I can understand why they're still drawn to each other. AB says Charlie's dad has let him be lazy for far too long. Yes, the man, now they're saying he's 30. I could have sworn Charlie was 30 last year. So Charlie aging backwards, and he's looking a lot older, everybody, too. I don't know that he does a lot of drinking. I don't know what his vice is. Maybe some club stuff like Georgia. I don't know. But something's going on with him. And beside this check from the show, what else would he have been doing? We hadn't heard a word about crypto, bro. David says, they said that Ariana and Hudson are back. Yes, AB was just saying that. That's been the rumor. I believe it. Everybody is saying yes. So we see Liam. I like Liam. Liam is his own person. So Hudson tried to minimize him, a guy that rides horses for a living. He actually doesn't. He has his little motorcycle. He rides horses. And then he had a confessional where he said, well, I love Yellowstone. Yellowstone is the Kevin Costner series. I don't know who. One of the streaming services has it. I haven't picked it up, but it looks good. He said, Yellowstone might call me, so I figured I'd learn how to ride a horse. And then that's one of the things that he has started doing. So I do like that about Liam. I think that's really sweet. And I think Ariana, other than Hudson just flying back and forth on his parents' money and grandparents' money, I think she likes the fact that Liam has been a working actor since he was a child. And then he also knows how to talk to people and treat people. I don't see Liam looking down on anybody. And he has a diverse group of friends, which I noticed. I like that a lot, that he hangs out with. Also growing up in New York, he texts her, he invites her. What are you doing Sunday? She says she's not doing anything. And she was baking bread for him, which I thought was kind of cute. He's like, it's kind of chewy, but it's good. So he invited her to meet his parents. She said, I've never been to upstate New York. He said, it's not upstate, it's Upper West Side. So I thought that was funny. So he's going to have her over. He said he don't know if he's kind of moving a little too fast, but he does want to get to know Ariana. So he was not following the instructions, but I think it was just a big part of him getting to know her, doing something for her. She's in a confessional. Oh, when somebody offers to build furniture, that's like a grand gesture. And it really is. But I'm glad that she still had her task rabbit. So next we get Rowan. Rowan's putting together a Rocky Horror Picture Show. She doesn't really know what that is, but she has lunch with Shai and also Ava. That's where he had the tampon jacket on. So they were kind of laughing at him. Ava was saying that that's embarrassing. You sure you don't know whose it is? Are you offering it to us? Ava can be so silly. Shai was kind of blushing. Now he's upset about, well, I went out with the guys and Liam, he is going to build furniture for Ariana. Hudson has told me that he doesn't want anybody to get to know Ariana any better or try to have a relationship with her. And Rowan and Ava are saying, well, are you going to tell him? He doesn't know whether he's going to tell him or not. Of course, we know he's going to tell him. He gets a joint confessional with Rowan. Even though Rowan has a boyfriend, he has a little bit of a crush. He said, you remind me of somebody from Portland. Producer is like, have you ever been to Portland? No, but she reminds me straight out of Portlandia. I don't know what that meant. I don't know what that meant. So they are talking about what they're gonna do as far as the party. Telling Charlie, Rowan said, well, I'll just tell him. You think I should tell him? Then she said, no, I'm joking. I like Rowan because she seems really laid back and she has not been into any of this little side stuff they have going on. She haven't selected sides. When Georgia and Riley were going back and forth, and then Georgia and Amira were going back and forth, Rowan was listening intently. And production asked her in the confessional, do you know what's going on? And Rowan said, no, I don't. And she doesn't. But I like the way that she's neutral because they do kind of need a neutral party. And I'm with Georgia when Georgia says the group is kind of Riley focused. I don't think Riley's done anything to deserve that. Even when it's going to come up in a scene, they're having one of these parties they're going to, theme party. And Ava says Riley doesn't really hang with the group. Riley has her own group of friends. I know Kayla says she went to New York. She was there at a couple of the scenes, taking up for Riley and putting in, but they don't show us any of that, what's been filmed. So the group is kind of, they don't want to push Riley out, but Riley, hopefully she's not isolating herself. So they start talking again about Riley's drinking. Ava was saying it was kind of awkward. So Ava, I'm not loving this. Have the conversation with Riley. So Brooks, Shai was saying, well, it was really awkward. We left Charlie there, and we saw them leave Charlie there once Brooks, he said he was training for the LA Olympics. They were laughing. I think that's kind of a punk move. I think Brooks needs to face Charlie. So Ava said, we definitely need to find out what it is that they are still into it about. I think that it's Brooks. I don't know if it's about Chloe from last year or his family, but he needs to say it directly from him and don't run, because if we're going to be a group, then he needs to talk to him. So Ava said Brooks needs to clarify why he's not friends with Charlie. And then Shai says, yeah, because I'm not into, I think he's put it isolating somebody or something like that. I'm with Shai. I don't like that either. But it looks as if they're trying to isolate Charlie, but they actually can't do it because remember, Amara was the last one that was wanting him around. But now Georgia has told her that Charlie was actually the one that was floating the rumor that Georgia's pushing up on Kevin. And that kind of annoyed Amara. She's like, I'm the only one taking up for him, and he's out here talking about me. So crazy. Dear Yvette says Yellowstone's a very good show, and I love myself some Kevin Costner, Yvette. I bet they would call Liam. It wouldn't shock me at all. AB says, yes, it is. I might have to check it out. Welcome in. Thank you so much for joining us, sweet lady. Would you be ours? Thank you for joining us. We're talking about episodes 3 and 4 of Next Gen NYC. Rowan is absolutely stunning. Kiwan JTV, she is growing on me. And she's funny. I don't know if it was this episode or last, but Brooke Shields, she was getting her glam done in the house, and her mom was just there. This Brooke, this older Brooke is just so different to me because, of course, Frozen in my mind is like Brooke from the Grammys, Brooke from her movies, Endless Love, and all this kind of stuff. But nowadays, people don't really know her. Even Gia was telling her boyfriend, Christian, her mom is Brooke Shields, and Christian's like, I don't know who that is. She said, well, do you know Hannah Montana, Mom? That's how they relate to Brooke Shields rather than nothing gets between me and my Calvins. That Brooke Shields. But Rowan had the nerve to tell that lady, why don't you get a Kris Jenner face look? And Brooks is like, oh my God. And the glam lady was dying laughing. I wasn't. I don't think Brooke Shields needs anything done to her face. She's still Brooke Shields. If you get older, you get older. But I like how upfront Rowan is. And then they have Brooke's mother's ashes. Brooks has separated the ashes and put them somewhere. She said, I put them near the bar and near a picture of me, the two things she loved most. We know Brooke's mother was an infamous stage mom. And there's a documentary, I think it's on Hulu. That lady really exposed her to some very inappropriate people and behaviors. But Brooke came out of it shining, and I love it. Kiwan J says, hello to sweet lady. Thank you for joining us. So does Ava want to be the only Black girl? Kiwan J, I noticed that she's dropping a little bit of criticism on Riley every time she gets a chance. But when they were at the club and Riley was, acting out, she took care of her a little bit, went to the bathroom with her and everything. But I didn't like what she was doing. I don't like the behind the back type stuff. I know they're not close friends, but every time she gets with production, she got something slick to say. So Ava is trying to tell Shai, well, I don't know. I think you should definitely tell him, but we also need to know why Brooks. Ava's trying to be in the middle of too many different situations when last year, I don't think she thought the show was going to do anything, and we barely got anything out of Ava, and I just found her really boring. But now she may be doing a little too much, kind of like Riley, overcompensating for people saying, oh, she doesn't fit, and the kids are being microaggressive and all this kind of stuff. So Shai he's going to meet with Hudson. He's going to meet with Charlie, and he's going to tell Hudson that Liam is trying to date Ariana. Or he was trying to put it out in a tactful way, they were all playing pool, and Charlie ends up saying, Liam's trying to F your girl. So I thought that was crude. I don't think it was true. I think Liam is trying to get to know Ariana, but I didn't like that. So we know that Hudson didn't want to break up, and he should not want to or be able to police her activity after the breakup. I don't like that. But they put it in Shai's ear that he needs to say something about it. I don't know. It's making Hudson look a little bit controlling, and he feels that he can do that just because he has money and he floated the bills for them for a long time. We find out he was even giving Kim money. Kim, you were putting Ariana between a rock and a hard place, accepting money from her boyfriend and probably her ex-boyfriend too. So in the confessional, Liam gets a joint confessional with Brooks. Brooks is all in gray. He wears these monotone colors and he's boring enough. Liam is all in black. So they are talking about this event that they're going to go to. In another scene, we've got, I think Gia was just visiting Ariana because Gia's got her own apartment. But Ariana is curling her hair. She's getting ready. They're going to get ready for the party. And Riley comes in and she's like, why are you not dressed? She's not going. So she's not going. Again, Riley, you're not going. Gia's putting on her hot pants, whatever else she's dressing. They start to have a conversation. And in that conversation, Riley says, I don't feel like you're supporting me as much as you should have been supporting me. And Ariana was saying, I was. Whatever you think constitutes support, that's what I was trying to do. I was offering you water. I was offering you food. And Riley was saying, no, it's just more along the lines of Georgia was triggering me. Now, we know Riley has already sent a text message, a long text message, that she's sorry. And Georgia has said, no problem. She's accepted it. But now Riley, I think she's a little bit upset that Ariana didn't have her back more. I feel like Ariana did the best that she could do in that situation because Georgia's supposed to be her friend too. Now, she has a longer relationship with Riley, but we have to remember, even though they knew each other at 6 and 7, when Candy and Kim Zolciak stopped being friends at that time, the girls also stopped being friends as well. They just rekindled last year. So Riley is trying to get Ariana to be more of a friend to her and to have her back more. Whereas I think she does because Georgia already feels like she's not a good enough friend to her and she could do more. And I think Ava is just kind of lighting the match whenever she can. I don't know that Riley can trust her like that either. I understand Riley feeling kind of alone, but again, the group is tiptoeing around her. I didn't think that was fair. So now Riley, for some reason, is crying. Riley, why are you crying? She's crying. And Ariana is saying, I'm going to support you, whatever you feel like is support. I'm going to support you in that way. But Riley's crying and she gets a confessional and she says she just feels it's not fair, that whatever she does is just blown up into a big thing. Now, we knew that this was going to happen, Riley. They did it to you first season. And again, if she didn't give them all this material to work with, they wouldn't be able to do that. So basically, let's see, that was the end of the episode. So they're going, most of the group is going to that Rocky Horror Picture Show. Let me go through, read any comments that I've already missed, and then see if there is anything else to share regarding Next Gen NYC from the different social media sites. You don't think, oh, Dear Yvette says, I don't think so. You don't think she wants to be the only Black girl? I don't think she's dedicated. Well, she don't have to be dedicated to Riley. But again, with Riley is, now she was on not Watch What Happens Live, but the after show, saying that she might have been, see, when I watch too many things, it gets kind of mixed up. I think that was part of her and Ariana's conversation, that it would never get to that point. If we were with my friends back home, it would never get to that point. But Riley has to keep in mind, Atlanta is a small town compared to New York City, and she has grown up with and knows these same kids. Candy has the same friends for 30 years. So those group of friends, of course, they're not going to let Riley get into anything crazy and drink after drink and, you know, faking like she's going to throw a glass at somebody. So I don't know how she thinks she can drink like that in New York around a group of friends that are not as close to her as her Atlanta friends and family, but she's trying to hold Ariana to that. So that was crazy. Key wants answer, oh, okay, to Dear Yvette. Ava trying to do 2 reality shows. She needs the money. Yes, American Born is referring to. She's up there in the Hamptons kissing old Kyle Cook, old 43-year-old Kyle Cook. I'm going to need him to get off the playground. I'm not trying to make her less than a woman, but she is in her early 20s, and she's much too young for Kyle. I think it's what American Born says. Ava's trying to get attention. She's trying to be seen, and I think she'd love to be filmed for Summer House. For me, I don't want to see it. Key1 J says, okay, my wheels are turning about Miss Ava, and it adds my perspective. Yeah, Key1 J TV, honestly, when there was the first microaggressive situation between Charlie and Riley last year, Ava tried to intervene on Riley's behalf and let the group know why Riley felt that way. But I do see in Ava sometimes where she is more comfortable with the other group of kids as well. Because I don't know what people call Becky with the good hair. I don't identify with her that as a Black woman. I don't know. I've never heard her claim that. I don't know if she is or not. But Ava has that in her when she can go any way the wind blows. Just looking at her. Cece, thank you. Replay Gang. Hit the like button, drop a comment, and let's hype this video up. Yes, Replay Gang. Thank you so much. That hype feature really helps move my channel in the algorithm, and I appreciate it. You only get 3 per week. So if you have any left, let me hold one. Thank you. Dear Yvette says the Key1 J and American Born. Yes, on Summer House, and she's beat on the fence a lot. And wasn't she kissing Kyle? Yes. Yes, she was kissing Kyle. And I think it was just to get attention because she had a boyfriend. They brought him on last year. I think we saw him like a little glimpse of him this season, but I can't remember his name or anything about him, Yvette. So I don't know that it's anything significant. Now that I find this interesting, the boys are young men that like Ariana. I think Ava is a little bit jealous of that because remember Charlie would make a lot of crazy comments to Ava too. Oh, we should just have a baby. Oh, we should start hanging out more. He was doing that last season, and then when he decided that he wants to get with Ariana, and it might have just been flirting, but I think Ava, that's when she started to insult Ariana a little bit about when I think of her, I don't think of fashion. So I think Ava is in a competition more with Ariana than she would be Riley. I think she just thinks of Riley as Riley's just here, but doesn't have any special affinity toward Riley, or I haven't seen it yet. Because when Riley was all in her face, there was one point I could tell Riley was visibly drunk and she was listening and then leaning her head, had her hair all over Ava, and they zoomed in on Ava. Ava looked kind of embarrassed. American Born says, she claims they're in the same circle. And I'm saying since when? Yeah, I'm saying since when too. I don't think they're in the same circle. The young man she was seeing dropped her. I'm not shocked at that. So that was the end of the episode. Ariana and Riley sitting down and talking. Somewhere during the course of the episode, we did see a text that Riley sent to Georgia. Georgia accepted the apology. We got a new confessional from Riley where she's all in the turquoise blue. She looked beautiful too. And she was saying that she offered Georgia an apology. She said, because I don't think that it was right for me to be out of character with her. She didn't do anything to warrant that. And then Georgia is saying, well, we've all been there, and I'll attribute it to the drinking because I've done things that I was embarrassed about when I was drinking. So again, they're gonna pound this drinking storyline to the ground. But Riley, you know you were wrong. And again, there was a lot of chatter. I don't remember at the time. I know something had happened when the group went out. I didn't know that it was like her almost throwing a drink or something like that. I couldn't remember that. But that got us in the episode. Okay, I'll go on Threads. I'll give you a few more comments so you can see kind of what people are saying on Threads. And I do still think some people are being a little too rough toward Riley. So I'm going to go in, show a few threads. I know Candy said something. I want to see if I still have that. All right, we started out with Riley. This person, everyone's business but mine. This topic is Next Gen NYC. I think for all the talk about Riley, there's a lot of mention of Candy not raising her properly, but I'm not understanding when we see that, I'm sorry, this is small. We see that the very next day, Candy calls Riley to get specifics on what happened over and over again and conversations about Riley Not having things without candy, correct. The show's called, Next Gen NYC. It's not implied of all the Nepo kids on the show. Yeah, I guess it is Nepo kids. Remember, they had the kids that were not kids of housewives, didn't even really want the housewives kids on there because I think they didn't think they were going to get enough attention. But honestly, the kids that are not affiliated with housewives are holding their own. Like a Georgia's been into it with every single person on the cast, and she does manage to stand up for herself, stand 10 toes down. I'm no George Washington fan just because of the unwashed hands. Y'all, I forgot a whole scene. It creeped me out. She met with her cousin. I thought these jokers were going in there to get pedicures. Why are they getting foot massages after walking around New York City streets? Jordan even had on socks, and he took the socks off. It was disgusting. Georgia was like, can you give us 2 massages? So they sit down. They have some serious conversations. So kudos to her for that. She told him about her eating disorder. He said that he's very proud of her. Then he went out in left field that his mother and her mother are sisters or cousins, but they act like sisters, and they have been alien abducted. Even Georgia thought that was a bridge too far. She was in the confessional saying, I don't think that the aliens are going to take 4 little Jewish girls out of Florida. So Georgia kind of made me laugh with that. But Georgia, please take your cousin to go get a pedicure next time, because that no water massage just kind of grossed me out. Yuck. Georgia's getting quite a few scenes. I think she's holding her own. Riley did a little too much. I need her to dial it back a little bit. And then Ava, she did step up, but I don't know. I'm looking at Ava like she's just being performative. Ariana is probably one of the best performers. I like what she's doing. And Gia is working really hard to be calm and laid back and zen. Gia, I think that's an act. I think Gia can get activated too. And again, Charlie's name is in everybody's mouth. And Brooks. I don't know. I could see a show without Brooks. And his own mother was telling him, you're going to have to confront Charlie. And she's trying to get him, I guess, more camera time. But they seem to love Brooks. But honestly, I could take or leave Brooks, really. Let me get back into the comments, and then I'm going to try to see if I can find what Candy said. Okay, so the young man dropped. How would I get hypes? Off topic. Oh, Key1J TV. When you go after the video is over, so after the live is over, and you are watching it, when you click on where you want to make a comment, there's a circle next to it. When you click that, there's a place that will say hype, and it will allow you to hype the video. They give you, it's a certain amount of points, but you only get 3 hypes per week toward the different videos that you're watching. AB says, yes, that grossed me out as well, Sandra. It made me sick. Yes, I was looking at the chairs they were on. The place did not look that clean. The chairs had like black seat covers. I know that was to hide the dirt. Georgia and her cousin, I guess it runs in the family. That was just dirty. So if we're not going to watch a pedicure or something, I don't want to see that anymore. A no water foot massage. Disgusting. Cece says, none of those kids have anything without their parents, grandparents. Thank you, Cece. We got Hudson coming in like he's in a rap video talking about a guy that just rides horses. And Liam, if his parents are on the Upper West Side, they're successful, but at least he's a worker. So it is like a next generation nepotism NYC. And to say somebody can't afford a Birkin, Riley, as a college student, you couldn't afford a Birkin either. I didn't like that at all. And Georgia responded, that's the weirdest comment anyone's ever said to me. I found it very elitist. I think it was a bad look for Riley, because a lot of Riley's fans, a lot of Candy's fans are not running around here with a Birkin. So they got to be really careful that they don't turn people off. I was kind of shocked. So Cece, that's a good point. A lot of them wouldn't have anything without their parents. AB says, I can only imagine how nasty that water was from Georgia. Ugh. I don't think they used any, but she was just like massaging their feet. That's why I was disgusted when the cousin kicked his socks off. I felt so sorry for those ladies, because I don't know if they walked there, took an Uber or what, but from the Uber to the store, your feet walk. It's disgusting. And I know their socks were not clean. Key1J TV, this show has been a snooze fest until Riley came back. Riley came back and turned it up, Key1J. It has the social media streets on fire. Dear Yvette says, Gia is attaching herself to Ariana because last season nobody was talking about her. She was coming after Riley. Exactly, dear Yvette. And honestly, she felt like, I think she had to move into the city. because Christian was like, nope, I'm not moving. I'm surprised that he's still here, but he's her boyfriend, so that's why they keep showing him. All right, let me see. I know Candy said something. I'm going to show that, and then that'll be a good place to end because that was the end of the episode. Okay, here we go. So we have, so they're going to be on this podcast. This is Rachel Lindsay's podcast. I don't watch it a lot, but she was the one that she does a show with Van Lathan. So she was at BravoCon, and she was the host of the Real Housewives panel. I didn't find her to be a great host, everybody. Sometimes the Atlanta Housewives were talking over her. No, Potomac. I think she did Atlanta and Potomac. They were talking over her to the point where she had to like shush them. So I don't know, other than the fact that they liked that she was a part of Batch Nation, but I don't think they did a great job with her, having her there. But I'm interested to see if Riley and Candy talked to her, what they talked about. But I just want to share this. All right, there we go. So there is Riley and Candace. She said, that's my child. I'm going to stick beside her. She has to learn and grow, and I will support her through it all. Candy Burris. And I do like that they showed the FaceTime call where Candy called her for the day after to figure out what's going on. But I'd like to know, Candy, who was sending you articles and stuff about Riley? Okay, let's see. Dear Yvette says, oh yeah, we already said that about Gia attaching herself to Ariana. So we do see that. Cece says, I can get a Birkin if I raid my retirement fund. That was so elitist and shallow. Cece, thank you. I like my Birkin money to sit in the stock market and grow. That is crazy. AB says, that's a great point to Dear Yvette. Yes, it is. And American Born says, Riley said on the after show, she doesn't know why she said that. I guess she saw Amira's. Yeah, American Born. I don't think that she is taking enough accountability for what she said. I saw what she said, that I was looking for one, and I'm just thinking about the fact that I had Birkins on the brain. She said, I didn't even have a Birkin then. I have one now. And like Cece said, that is a little tacky. That isn't your mom's accomplishment, the fact that you have a Birkin now. Girl, who cares? Let them do like Drew. At least Judith Lieber sent Drew a bag. You sitting over here, Birkin. Did Birkin give you anything? And didn't they have Walmart had Birkins at one point, or a specially made Birkin for Walmart? So it's kind of crass now. And Georgia was actually saying, I'm not even impressed with Birkins anymore. I think that Birkins have gone kind of like, something gets so popular and then it's just, the appeal is gone. So I could agree with Georgia. The other funny thing that happened, production, this was on the after show, production was asking them to say nice things about each other. Riley couldn't really come up with anything nice for Georgia. And then she said, I don't really like her, and I don't think she likes me, but I don't want to bully her, and I'd like to stop talking about her. I like the fact that she is, she said she's a unique dresser or quirky or something like that. I don't know. Georgia didn't really have a lot of compliments toward Riley either. So there's just something between the two of them where they don't get along, which is fine. But Riley, you can't be threatening to slap people with pizza and that sort of thing. But 3 was a snooze fest. Again, it was Brooks focused. Episode 4 was a lot better because we got the rest of the boys and girls nights out, the joint nights. And then we also got to see more of Liam and Ariana, what's going to happen there, even though now, with them living their lives on social media, everybody's mentioned that it looks like Hudson and Ariana might be back together. So that's kind of interesting. Again, I'll give it's a failing episode. 3 got a 6. And I will go ahead and give 4 a 7 because at least they had a lot of things going on and it kind of kept my attention. But I'm with Kiwan J. I think this show is kind of a snooze fest. I'm glad I got a lot more stuff to watch and to start talking about. Married at First Sight dropped, I think, 2 more episodes. So I've got to do 2 and 3 together because I have 1 posted already. And then Real Housewives of Orange County has a second one. So I'll do 1 and 2 together. So that was the end of the episode. It was worth watching, though. It was worth watching. And let me see. I don't think there's anything else as far as pictures or anything that I'm going to share. No, that was it. So we'll end on Riley. We'll end on Riley and Candy. She said that is her daughter, and she is going to stick beside her. And I mean, of course she should. Of course she should. Just like Mama Joyce sticks beside Candy. Married at First Sight is good so far. Yeah, AB, I'm really glad. Seattle is giving. It's really good, even though now I started watching episode 2. There's a third guy that is bringing a bunch of red flags. It's the one that has been on a lot of reality shows. So at least 3 of the men should not have been cast. But it is a good show. I'm glad with the change of experts, the city, and then the fresh way that they're cutting it. So everybody, that was Next Gen NYC. Thank you so much for joining the live review. Let's see. Kiwan says, it was probably Candy Coated Click. Oh, yeah. They stay in the YouTube street. Or Don Juan. Is he part of the Candy Coated Click? I know Karma's in there. Cece says, don't confuse sticking beside and counseling. Thank you, Cece. That don't mean condone what she did, but of course that's your daughter and you will stick beside her. But then Riley had that little joke. Did you see the thread I put up? She had a joke about she was going toward a certain direction and then she didn't end up in her therapist's office. So I'm like, Riley, what? But I noticed Riley does that. She's supposed to be taking accountability for herself. Let me put up what she said. Then she ends up saying, well, Georgia as well. I could have done this better, but also Georgia's like, Georgia didn't touch you. Georgia didn't offer to slap you with a slice of pizza or anything like that. I follow her. I don't know why I can't find that up. But she's been trending on. She has been trending on Threads all day. Okay, there she is. I follow her. Here it is. And it was just, I didn't really get it. Let me show you that. I started out the beginning with it, so we'll end with that.
And said, I made 2 rights and 1 left, and somehow this is not my therapist's office. I don't know what the heck I did wrong. I did exactly as the direction said. I made 2 rights and 1 left, and somehow this is not my therapist's office. I don't know what the heck I did wrong.
So she's kind of playing it for laughs. Okay, Riley, it's up to you. We'll see. And Key1 says, Riley holds a grudge like Candy and Georgia. She sure enough does. I think Georgia brought that up where we thought that things were okay, but then you find out that things are not okay. So yeah, I agree with that. David says she's a Leo. Well, that hair is like a lion's mane. She is elite. She looks like a Leo. American Born says, I'm still Team Riley. I'm still Team Riley too. She can still wear this cloak. I still feel like she needs protection on this show, but I like her to be more self-aware and don't give them what they wouldn't have if you didn't give it to them. So if you're drinking 3 or 4 drinks to their 1, of course they're going to be able to say, we're trying to give her water. She was just out of her mind. So you don't have to say that you're out of character. And Dear Yvette said, right, that's my girl. Yes, so we're stick beside Riley along with Candy Barris. And I'm just glad she showed up because episode 1, we didn't get to see her at all. But now everybody's talking about her this week. So I guess good job, Riley. But that is the end of the episode and the review. Thank all of you so much for joining Sandra P's Gen Extra. And I will see you in the YouTube streets. Also, In the City is coming up. So just keep an eye out for that one. It's an odd time. It's sometime after 2. Thank you for joining. Thank you for the Purple Hearts, dear Yvette. I hope to see you. If you can make Next Gen NYC, that's going to be the finale. So everybody have a great rest of your afternoon. And I'll see you shortly. Goodbye.
I don't think that he's good for you.
How do you know what's good for me? That's my opinion! Don't you get it? Why can't anybody have an opinion but you?
That I don't think that he's good. That I